This episode, let us listen to the heartfelt stories from who we call modern heroes. They are considered our modern heroes due to their significant contributions to the country. Even our modern heroes encounter plenty of issues, but they still sacrifice not only for their loved ones, but also contribute to the state of our country. Filipino citizens are being trafficked in different countries. Others are being exploited abroad and are forced to work on jobs they don't want to.
The greatest problem they have experienced and continue to face is the non-availability of direct flights or the multiple stopovers they have to make before finally reaching Manila. They have limitations and have no access to their hospitals, doctors, pharmacies, and grocery stores. They have no family support since entire families living in the Philippines. They get sick abroad but they cannot leave work because they need to report back to work, otherwise they will be fired or placed out of status.
Good morning, people around the world. We are here yet for another sunrise. I am Roger Batidwan.
And I am Danchella Gonzalo,
Country's most vibrant show, The Morning Bloom.
A beautiful and bright day to you, Roger. We are here to celebrate another day of sun rays upon you, bloomers.
Yes, Danchella, what an amazing day we have ahead of us. This day will be full of insights and understanding. This will be very enlightening and will be a very awesome experience.
Now, to have the opening remarks, please welcome Mr. Benedict Videna.
To all our guests and bloomers today, a very good morning. It is an honor to welcome you all to this talk show. The purpose of this show is to show the stories of people associated with our OFWs during this pandemic. There are also people from different government sectors to enlighten us in different aspects. Through this talk show, may it be a good place to share our thoughts and feelings to remove any confusion. Now sit back as you will be inspired by their stories and the messages of our speakers. Again, thank you for standing by and enjoy the show.
Now let us listen to Adrian Moser and Stephanie Piña Florida as they present our guests for today.
Our first guest speaker for today's show is a grand 38-year-old business sector from the Philippines who wants to expand his business all over the world and promote our Filipino cuisine. He owns 7 Michelin-starred and 5-star restaurants with over 50 branches in the Philippines.
His goal is to show off his talents and skills in the kitchen all over the world, as well as to bring pride to our nation. Today, let us all welcome Mr. Brad.
For you, how would you say OFWs in general make an impact to our country?
Good day to everyone. I would like to borrow your ears for a few moments. I am present here today to share some experiences and encounters wherein I could say that I am one of the witnesses of the effect of our modern heroes, the overseas Filipino workers in the economic sector, especially the business one. As an owner of a restaurant, Christmas and summertime are honestly the peak season in which OFWs and their respective families go to our shop to have a reunion dinner or lunch. The positive impact of this is that our earnings doubles and sometimes can even triple or quadruple. As the owner, it is very beneficial to me since I can have more money in my account. However, as these times there are usually more visitors such as the locals and tourists visiting our shop with the addition of our balikbayans. It is timing for our staff, especially the waiters and servers. It is a season in which the restaurant is packed and bustling. Thus, it is hectic for my workers, and at the end, they tend to pull overtime just to cater the needs of our customers. On the other hand, during this time wherein OFWs can't go back to the Philippines because of the strict policies or the lack of flights going to the country, and as a result, it is extremely noticeable that sales of restaurants, not only ours, went downhill. Thus, I could say that they contribute to the economy not only because of their work, but also because of the money they spend on the services of our business sector.
Thank you, Mr. Brad. For now, let's have a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hello, USA! Wow, finally back here. It's been so long. Luckily, I'm fully vaccinated. Gotta be ready for work. Let me watch this first.
We begin this hour with COVID-19 and an Omicron surge 20.2 activation.
It has recorded its 4th rise in new coronavirus cases in a row.
What? Another variant? I can trust my health by going outside. Then how can I work and give money to my family back in the Philippines? Oh ma'am, how are you there in the Philippines?
We are doing okay. There aren't many infections here, and the OWA is providing us with cash relief. How about you?
Well, I applied for a repatriation emergency in the Philippine U.S. Embassy, and I'm going home in 3 weeks.
Simply ask you what was to request your repatriation through OWA and DOLE. We were told that everything from the airline to quarantine and swab are free.
Yes, I think I'll be having my quarantine as well. I just need to contact Philippine Airlines for booking, and it's good to start 6 hotel.
For the overseas, Filipino workers and frontliners are excited to go home and hug their family. We fly safely with your help. For updates, you can contact us through the hotline you see on your screen. Please about COVID-19, you can check on the links you can see on your screen. And for more information about OFWs, please be guided with the following.
Flying high across the sky. Go on a journey.
Welcome back to the Morning Bloom. Now let us welcome our second guest.
Our next guest is a 14-year-old English teacher who is currently residing in Tokyo, Japan. She knew that this was the opportunity of a lifetime to support her family no matter what. Truly motivating. Let's all welcome Ms. Juliana Calibo as she discusses her desires for the OFW support from the OWA offices.
Good day, Ms. Calibho. Can you share with us about Japan and your experience being an OFW there?
Japan is a beautiful place and it is very easy to live in. But the long work hours make it hard for me to have time for myself. To make it easier, I have to at least know the language, their culture, and their customs and gestures. Next is the work culture. Though it is easy to get a job in Japan, the work culture in Japan is strict and work hours are long. Not all is bad though. Because of long work hours, everything is at your convenience. Train stations and convenience stores are just 5 minutes away from living spaces, and vending machines are absolutely everywhere. Both healthy and unhealthy foods sold in these places are cheap and of high quality. Lastly, housing in Japan can be small, and the quality can depend on which area you live in. You'll be lucky to find a decent apartment in the city, or when your workplace provides you with a place of your own. These are just a few of the positive and negative impacts of working abroad that I can share for today's time.
Wow, I didn't know Japan was that beautiful. And also thank you for sharing with us your experience. Now let's talk about our government system. What do you think are the problems OWA is causing?
About the problems of OWA. As you know, both Japan and the Philippines are prone to disasters, even more so in Japan. From the experience of my fellow OFWs, OWA's response can be quite late when it comes to the assistance and aids. I worry for my family and my safety, so I hope OWA can fix this issue and prioritize the OFWs under their care.
We are currently witnessing the thoughts and sensations of a 16-year-old kid of two OFWs. Though it is difficult for him to deal with the gap between his parents, he was still able to rely on his grandparents. He is also pushing himself to the limit, and he is currently studying hard so that his parents do not have to leave overseas and rather stay here in the Philippines, and so that he can support his family.
Mr. Pidena, can you tell us your side of the story? How is it being a child of two OFWs?
It was hard for me at first because I couldn't spend more time with them when they were around to bond and connect with me. But as time went by, I started to understand the true purpose of them going to other countries. It was for the sake and betterment of my future. When I was in grade school, my parents left me with my grandma to take care of me while they were away at work. Making friends is a challenge for me since I don't have anyone to talk to except my grandma. It was also hard for me to see my classmates with their parents when they received their awards, and their parents were honoring them with the awards. During the pandemic, I was studying as usual, but my attention was not on my lessons. It was on the news. I was waiting for some information about how bad the virus is in Dubai. I contacted my mother, but she said that we're okay, also telling me that they're going back to the Philippines in 2020.
What issues did your parents encounter in OWA?
When they got back here, they went to OWA to claim their benefits. They said that there were no records of registration on their data when they went abroad. Every OFW has to register for the benefits before going abroad.
Thank you so much for this very touching session. Now let us welcome our third guest.
Now we'll move on to our next guest, a 34-year-old man from Pavia, Iloilo who aspires to be a voice for OFWs. His goal was to assist them in working specifically in the Middle East. He spends most of his time on paperwork, hearings, and meetings. It is my pleasure to formally introduce Mark Lutilia, Department of Foreign Affairs Ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Steph.
Mr. Lutilia, what was your experience with OFWs there in KSA?
The Middle East is home to one of the largest populations of overseas Filipino workers. This number becomes larger and larger every year. why would so many people immigrate? The reason is better job opportunities and better pay. Many OFWs working abroad experience legal maltreatment, such as sexual abuse, maltreatment, unpaid salaries, and other labor malpractices. Filipino lawmakers cannot do anything about it, as the working conditions abroad are set by the ILO. Sadly, the ILO can only set complaints and not impose sanctions. OFWs also face another problem, de-skilling, a process by which skilled labor in an industry or economy is replaced by the introduction of technologies operated by semi or unskilled workers. Organizations like the Overseas Workers Welfare Association can help enforce the welfare of workers in countries abroad. And they can also aid in the financial problems to those working abroad. Despite the disadvantages listed above, with the help of organizations similar to the OWA, we can help improve the working experiences of OFWs abroad and overcome the disadvantages of working abroad.
Hoping that someday all OFWs will be treated equally. Thank you for sharing with us your experience, Mr. Lotilia.
For this moment, I would like to present one of the greatest and well-respected people in his field in Overseas Workers Welfare Administration. He is 42 years old, living in his humble abode in Haro, Iloilo City, and is an acting officer in charge of the administrative part of the whole Region 6.
His everyday routine is to get his morning cup of Americano at his local barista coffee shop and to organize his schedule for the day. And as a matter of thought, he might have scheduled this interview right now. I'll give him the spotlight now. Mr. Mark Hilario, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Adrian and Stephanie.
Mr. Hilario, can you share with us your experience of being an OWA officer?
Many people believe that the scariest sentences you may hear are, I work for the government and I'm here to help. While we may laugh at these statements, they hide a lot of unheard concerns and issues. As Region 6's officer in charge, I am responsible for all of Region 6's overseas Filipino workers and their families' concerns. In addition, I must do paperwork, attend meetings, and convey the OFW's needs and grievances to legislators. I understand that the task was challenging, but it's my purpose to protect the welfare of Filipinos working in other countries.
I can't imagine how tired and stressful it is to be an officer of OWA, Mr. Hilario. You are such a great model to each and everyone. Can you tell us more about the problems and circumstances OWA officers are facing, Mr. Hilario?
Viewers, please lend me your ears as I share my experiences and issues encountered as an OWA officer in charge. One of them is the complaint of the OFWs about the delayed legal assistance. Convicted OFWs suffer injustice, especially if wrongly blamed. OFWs working in Middle Eastern countries suffer the most in sexual and physical harassment. However, the OWA is not fast enough to help these OFWs. Nowadays, the OWA has more problems because of the pandemic. OFWs have submitted numerous complaints, such as the cases of returning Filipino workers that tested negative but are still in quarantine facilities for the 14-day quarantine period. Another is the delayed COVID assistance cash. However, it is a great honor to announce that OWA Region 6 has released over 16 million pesos worth of cash aid to 1,639 beneficiaries. Right now, the OWA is on the edge of bankruptcy. We've spent 1.145 billion on food, accommodation, and transportation for the displaced OFW since March 15. If this continues, the OWA will be drained by at least 10 billion pesos. Despite this, the Philippine government and OWA are uniting to enhance welfare and safety of overseas Filipino workers.
According to Mr. Hilario, the government is working for the betterment of the OFWs. Our next guest can further explain this matter. Adrian, take the floor away.
Our next guest is the last guest for the day. He's a senator here in the Philippines, serving for everyone's welfare and also protecting the rights of every Filipino citizen by enforcing the laws for order. I hereby present to you Brad Villegas to enlighten us with the laws enforced about OFWs.
Let us all now listen to our senator as he discusses the Republic Act that was just implemented this December.
Good morning to everyone watching. I am here today to present and discuss to you all our country's very recent Republic Act that was established. the Republic Act 11641, also known as an act creating the Department of Migrant Workers. This bill was penned by our very own Senator Joel Villanueva. Now, after it is implemented, the Department of Migrant Workers will occupy all the functions of the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, otherwise known as POEA. Under the measure, the department is tasked to formulate a system for regulating, managing, and monitoring the overseas employment of Filipino workers, while of course taking into consideration the national development programs formulated by the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA.
Thank you, Mr. Senator. Now can we look forward to the Republic Act if it will guarantee the welfare of the OFWs?
Truly, our guests have shared their heartfelt stories. We are proud of those who continue to sacrifice for their loved ones in the country. May the stories from our guests become an inspiration to all of you.
And as always, this is the country's most vibrant show, The Morning Bloom.